This video and the article on our website are designed to take the mystery out of what's going to take place at your 341 Trustees Meeting of Creditors. Technically, this meeting is a 341 Meeting of Creditors, but since creditors usually won't show up to the meeting, I prefer to call it the Trustee Meeting. If you live in Southern Maryland, this meeting is going to take place at the U.S. Trustee's office in Greenbelt. It happens to be near the courthouse, but that's not where we're going. We're going to the U.S. Bankruptcy Trustee's office at 6305 Ivy Lane, Greenbelt, Maryland. Since there's always tons of traffic on the Beltway, you're going to be a lot happier if you get there early than if you get there late. Besides, if you get there early, you can go into the meeting room and watch the trustee ask other people the same questions that they're going to ask you. So if you get there before one of our lawyers or before I get there, head into the meeting room and watch the meetings being conducted. To get to the U.S. Trustee's office, you're going to go around the Beltway towards College Park and take exit 23 Kenilworth Avenue. At the end of the ramp, there's a traffic light, and you make a right-hand turn onto Kenilworth. At the second traffic light, turn left onto Ivy Lane. As you're going down Ivy Lane, 6305 is going to be on the left-hand side just after the Marriott. You're going to head on up to the 6th floor, and the trustees' meeting rooms are in a suite labeled rooms 619 through 621. Head on in. The room is comprised of 3 rooms. There's a big waiting area, and then there are 2 offices. One's right by the front door, and one's in the back right corner. Next to the doors, they each have a bulletin board with a docket posted on there. Look at the docket, see which room you're going to be in, and head on in and watch them. When the lawyer from our office gets there, and we're going to make sure that you have your driver's license and social security cards with you, we're going to go ahead and have you pull those out and have those in your hand. When the trustee calls your case, they're trying to get through at least 5 or 6 cases an hour, so we want to make sure that you have those right in your hand. You'd be surprised how hard it is to figure out which pocket you have them in. Even after the trustee looks at those IDs and hands them back, we're still going to have you hold them in your hand. Don't bother trying to put them away. You'd be surprised how often you'll see people fumbling, drop them on the floor, and then they get nervous and flustered. So treat those IDs almost like they're a security blanket. When the trustee starts the docket, a lot of times they'll do a little roll call, and we'll answer that you're present with counsel. When they call your name again, we're going to head up to the table. You're going to lay down your IDs, and the trustee will verify your identity. Now, when we do our phone prep, we're going to practice the particular questions that the trustee you've been assigned to tends to ask. But if you go on our website and look at the article, you'll see kind of the generic questions that give you a general idea of what a typical trustee will ask. When they call your name, you're going to head up to the table, lay down those IDs. They're going to look at those IDs and hand them back. And before you even have a chance to put those IDs away, they're going to ask you to raise your right hand and ask you whether you swear or affirm to tell the truth. You're going to want to answer that yes, or we're not going to get very far. And after you say yes, feel free to put your hand down because your hand gets tired and you'll look a little silly with your hand up in the air. At this point, the bankruptcy trustee will ask you a series of questions. Make sure you give verbal answers, as the meeting with the trustee is a formal meeting and is being recorded. While it is very common for people in normal situations to communicate with nonverbal communication, a tape recorder will not pick that up. And it's important not just to shake your head or nod. Each bankruptcy trustee has their own way of conducting the meeting, and it may vary from case to case. Because we've been handling cases for so long, we know the questions that each particular bankruptcy trustee is likely to ask. When we call to prepare you for the meeting, we will review those specific questions with you. Here are some typical questions that the bankruptcy trustee may ask you in a 341 meeting for a Chapter 7 bankruptcy proceeding. You can read them over and practice the answers. If you have any questions, we can go over them at our scheduled phone appointment. When the trustee calls the case, they're going to ask to see your photo ID and proof of social security number. And then they're going to ask you, do you swear or affirm to tell the truth? They'll ask you to state your name for the record. How long have you lived in Maryland? Do you have any pending lawsuits or other claims that you can bring? Then the trustee may ask you, what is your marital status? Do you owe anyone any child support or alimony? And they may ask you why you filed this bankruptcy case. On that question, they're looking for a short and simple answer that may be something as simple as a period of unemployment or drop in income or health issues. They then will ask you if you've ever filed before, and if so, when. Have you owned a business in the last 5 years? What real estate do you own, and whether you've sold or transferred any real estate in the last 5 years. They're going to also ask you whether you listed all of your property and all of your debts on your bankruptcy petition, and do you have any antiques, collectibles, or other valuables. If it's in the spring of the year, they're likely to ask you about whether you're expecting a tax refund and how much that tax refund is likely to be, or if you've already received it, what you did with that refund. They're also going to ask you if anyone has passed away from whom you expect to receive an inheritance. This is important because if someone passes away while your case is pending that you're likely to inherit money from, that is considered to be an asset of the state even if you don't receive the inheritance while the case is pending. If that were to happen after your case is filed, please let us know right away so that we can address that issue. They're also going to ask you whether you reviewed your bankruptcy petition and personally signed it. Finally, they're going to ask you if you've received a copy of the trustee's information sheet. That was that yellow piece of paper that talked about the different types of bankruptcy that we had in the original folder we gave you to complete. After the bankruptcy trustee is done asking questions, you're free to leave. If you have any questions after the meeting with the bankruptcy trustee, you can go out to the waiting room and wait for me. We can talk when we are done with the other cases we have on the docket that day. Please make sure you have completed the second online class. Assuming everything is fine, we should get a notice from the bankruptcy court closing the case and granting the bankruptcy discharge in about 100 days after the 341 meeting. Once you get the discharge from the bankruptcy court, you will have your fresh start. The first place to start is right on our website. We have an article on our free legal information page called How to Do an Annual Review. This is an excellent checklist of things you should review each year to make sure your personal finances are in good order. If you ever have a legal problem, keep in mind that we're not just your bankruptcy lawyer. We have a team of lawyers, and if you've got a legal problem, we probably have a lawyer in our office who can help you with it.